Hey guys, this is Tauna. Today we're going to be talking about cards to watch/get for the Duskmourn Commanders. We've had a couple of the Duskmourn Commanders revealed yesterday, with basically knowing all of Aminatou and Winter's kits. They are based off of the blurry image here that we have deciphered that you guys can check out a video on my channel. Obviously these are very rough given that we don't know the rest of the cards in the precons yet, and some might be reprinted, but I aim for ones that I doubt would be, whether they're because they're universes beyond or they don't fit lore wise, or they're just very odd choices that I doubt they will reprint in here. Now if you are going to get some of them, make sure you use the TCG player link down below. You guys can support the channel that way and pick up these relatively cheap as well. So, and yeah, make sure you subscribe as well if you guys are interested in this content, and let me know. So first up we have Aminatou. So again, this is deciphered based off of the blurry text that is down here. So at the beginning of your upkeep, surveil some amount. I believe it has to be more than one because of the fact that afterwards it's got the text that is kind of going into detail on more than one surveil. Either way, she surveils at the beginning of your upkeep, and then each card in your hand has miracle, and the miracle cost is reduced by some amount. Now, one thing that we talked about here in the comments was someone brought up the fact that miracle wouldn't work that way, so there's potential they're going to have to change the way that the miracle or how cards get different properties essentially when they go into your hand and stuff, but we'll see how that goes. So some of the cards that I'm looking at are also, the actual deck here is called See the Future, or labeled as See the Future and Cast Miracles. So stuff like Sensei's Divining Top. I think that, this is unlikely to get reprinted in there. If this is reprinted in here, I will be very, very surprised. Double Masters was when it was last reprinted, which was when Aminatou was last around. So, there's potential that it is, and it would be amazing if it was, but it's also an incredibly strong card that could be in this deck, and one that I kind of doubt that will reprint into the deck, as opposed to, maybe collect the boosters or something like that instead. Some dumb kind of way to be able to get it. It would be great if it was reprinted in there. I just kind of doubt it. The actual previous Aminatou would be bonkers in this deck. She is draw a card, then put a card from your hand on the top of the library. Easy, right? Like, that is easy going to help you proc that miracle and get like miracles very easily set up for your next turn, unless someone makes you draw it, of course. I doubt they kind of put two different versions of the same character in the same deck though too, so that kind of makes it more likely, in my opinion, that she will be reprinted here. That she won't be reprinted, which therefore, a card to kind of pick up. Hall of Heliod's Generosity. Now, this was reprinted in Wilds of Eldraine Commander, and it is a great card for this deck, right? Like, you can surveil something into your graveyard, then put it back later on up there, and it would be amazing if it was reprinted. I think it's more likely than the other ones on this list, but it's also like an land that I don't think that they'll reprint into it. I mean, they did previously with the Wilds of Eldraine Commander, but it would be bonkers in the deck. It's just kind of, this one here is also less likely, I think, to be like if they reprint Sensei's and you repay, like, you pay $30 for it, it's going to be more sad. While Hall of Heliod, it's $6. It's worth kind of a gamble, in my opinion. The three different Sisters cards, they're not going to be reprinted in here. They are, they're universes beyond cards, and they could reprint them in here if they made universes within versions of them, but I doubt they're going to do that. So these, I think, are a pretty easy kind of bet that they're not going to get reprinted in here, and all three of them are pretty decent and going to be usable, especially if you can kind of get that miracle proc for them. For their miracle cost, they are decent and, cheap, while if you're hard casting them, they're not going to be as great, but they're not going to get reprinted in here. They're all decent, so worth grabbing. One with the multiverse here. So obviously, because of the way the kind of miracle thing works, it reduces the cost of the actual card. This is a very expensive card, costing $8. It has a lot to do with like the with the actual deck. Like, it can work very well with the deck to be able to proc this, look at the top card of your library, to be able to kind of manipulate that, play cards from the top of your library, to be able to manipulate what's at the top of your library and stuff. Cast something for free from the top of your library too. This deck, I think, will go really well with some big, hefty, expensive enchantments, and this is one that could go crazy in it. And I don't think they're going to reprint it just because of the fact that it is kind of like a storyline based one around the Brotherhood War and stuff. So Brothers War. So I doubt they're kind of reprinting it in here, and I think it would be bonkers in this deck. Starfield and Nyx. More likely, I think, than others that they will reprint this in there, but then again, you know, this deck isn't meant to be totally around your graveyard and stuff. Like, Aminatou uses Surveil to put things into your graveyard, but not because she's going to use them there. More so that way you can manipulate what's at the top of your deck. This here is decent, I think, and could be very useful for it, as well as, you know, being able to return those enchantments back. It's a big, hefty enchantment that's going to be better when it's cast for Miracle, as well as being able to turn all those enchantments you've got into creatures. I think this would be a really great card in that deck. Previously reprinted within Commander Masters within the mill-based deck there, the mill-based enduring enchantments there. So I think that it would be good in this deck, and it's not kind of too bad to kind of get in, but if this doesn't get reprinted in there, this is going to spike up, I think. Extravagant replication. This doesn't have too much to do with the deck, which means it's less likely to get a reprint in it, but it is going to be bonkers in the deck, right? Like, create a token copy of another target non-land permanent you control. You can token copy your enchantments out. Boom. Costs relatively expensive. With Miracle, that's going to be a lot better. And, you know, just reprinted within Duskmourn Commander, I believe. So, you know, pretty easy to be able to get and make use of. And it's going to be, you know, less likely to get reprinted the deck because of the fact that it doesn't actually do all that much to do with the deck. The Palantir of Orthrok. This one here is kind of my crowning glory that I think is not going to get reprinted in here. Is quite expensive at the moment, but will easily could be a card that spikes up. So it's got top deck manipulation. Either you get to draw cards, or if that player doesn't, you mill cards, right? So that kind of can work in with some Surveil stuff that we can potentially add into it, and, you know, add in some stuff to be able to bring stuff back if it's not in it. But also, this is a Universes Beyond card. This is the Lord of the Rings card. It is not going to get reprinted in here, but I do think it is going to be quite bonkers in the deck because of the fact that it's got that top deck manipulation here. It's kind of like either you get to draw a card, or, you know, and it's also only draw a card while it's scry too, right? So you could do some really great stuff with this. It's going to be really great. Enhanced Surveillance, turn it so that whatever a Surveil Aminatou has, it adds 2 additional cards to that Surveil. Really cheap. Great card, I think, to grab. Could be a card that easily spikes up because, you know, the last time it was reprinted was Murder of the Kala Mana Commander, and before that it was Guilds of Ravnica. Mirko, previously a face commander for the, Revenant Recon deck, has stuff to do with Surveil. It's returning stuff from your graveyard as well. You know, if there's more Surveil built stuff into here, which is, you know, more top deck manipulation and stuff, which is good, this is going to be good in that. As well as just, you know, being able to work with Aminatou. Doom Whisperer, pay 2 life, Surveil 2. Last reprinted Murder of Call of Matter Commander is still $2. It's going to be great. You can Surveil at the, like, if you don't find a card with Aminatou that you want to have at the top of your deck, you could Surveil more by paying 2 life, and boom, just put some better stuff at the top of your deck. Demon of Fate's Design, pay life to play an enchantment. We've got a whole lot of potentially, we potentially have a whole lot of expensive enchantments in here. This is going to allow us to be able to cheat some of those out pretty early. Really good. Case of the Shifting Visage. At the beginning of your upkeep, Surveil 1. Boom. And then if there's 15 or more cards in your graveyard, then each non-legendary creature spell, you copy that spell. Really good. Now we've got Winter. So Winter is about getting things into your graveyard and then being able to get them back onto the board. Pretty easy. Reanimate combined with self-mill, right? Boom. So we've got Therapy. Now I want to thank Mave6602. He, one, brought this card up to me, and two, kind of gave me the idea of this video altogether. So why is Therapy great? First of all, if you look at Winter, when he brings things back, it puts finality counters on them. Finality counters suck. They make it so that when you, something dies, it gets exiled instead of going back to your graveyard. Therapy gets rid of that. There are a fair few different ways to be able to get rid of that. Therapy's just one, but the fact that he has Artifact Creature means that if it ends up in your graveyard, that counts as two different card types for Delirium. Really, really great. And it hasn't been reprinted since 5th Dawn. It could potentially be reprinted here, but I kind of doubt it. It doesn't really fit the theme. We've got Etch Slith. So this was from Modern Horizons 3 very recently, which is essentially kind of the same thing, right? Except you get to put a +1/+1 on it, and then when you do, you may remove a counter from another targeted permanent. So this is another great way to get rid of finality counters, and then, again, it's got that Artifact Creature, so it counts for 2 types there. It is just an uncommon as well, so it's going to be pretty cheap to be able to pick up. This one here is not so much this is going to spike, so much as it's just going to be good. We've got 6, giving everything Retrace in your graveyard. Really, really great. Works really well for like the Reanimate kind of stuff. It's essentially, very similar to the Reanimate, except it's Retrace instead. And then you just chuck a land into your graveyard. You've got so many ways to be able to bring bring lands back from your graveyard. In green, it doesn't matter too much. We've got Grist, has just been reprinted in the Modern Horizons 3 Commander, so I doubt they get another reprint. But, Planeswalker, it's worth having, I think. I think it's worth having another Planeswalker, right? And, it doesn't unfortunately count as a Planeswalker when it's in your graveyard, but being able to mill stuff here, create insect tokens that we can do stuff with, destroy target creatures with it, make people lose life equal to the creatures in our graveyard. Lots of great ways to make use of that. Insidious Roots. I don't think that they're going to reprint things from MKM in this set, just because it's not that long ago. I think that things that get reprinted have to be at least a year old. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but this is a great card. Create a whole bunch of plants with it when you bring things back from your graveyard. Also, the fact that it's when one or more creature cards leave your graveyard. So if you're exiling a creature card with Winter, boom, right? It's going to be great. You're going to create a whole bunch of plants with it. Really, really great. We've got Aftermath Analyst, mill cards, and then bring all your lands back. We're milling a whole bunch with Winter, so this is another way to bring lots of lands back. Again, another great card from Markov Manor that I doubt will get reprinted in this precon. Fauna Shaman. I think this is more likely to get kind of reprinted in here, but they don't really add tutors into precons, right? I don't think they really add tutors into precons. So this is just green, discard a creature. That's going to help us get more creatures into our graveyard and then go tutor something up. I think it's great. I doubt it's going to get reprinted. Invasion of Fiora. So there's not very many battles, and I don't think they've printed a battle into a precon yet, have they? I don't think we've seen a battle in a precon. But this is a way for us to get, one, an additional thing for Winter if it does end up getting milled, but 2, looking over here, whenever it attacks, remove all counters from up to 1 target permanent. That there is going to count towards like getting rid of all those finality counters. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you haven't been dealt combat damage, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Drawing extra cards and stuff isn't going to be bad. I think that this is honestly the one that I expect to spike up the most if it's not reprinted. And I very much doubt it gets reprinted just because of the fact that, it is a battle. It is only a rare though, so I don't know, we'll see. Biotransference. This is probably the, is coup de grace the right word? The one that I expect to be the best from this list here. Again, this is going to be crazy because it's not going to get reprinted, right? It will not get reprinted. It turns all your creatures into artifacts and all your creature spells into artifacts. So that means that everything now is going to be an artifact creature. So all of your creature spells that are in your graveyard will now count towards winter as two different creature types. So this makes it so that also we're going to get to create some Necron Warriors. We can use those for random different things later on. We've got Ripples of Undeath, the best kind of mill card that has come out recently. At the beginning of your pre-combat, mill 3 cards and pay 1 and 3 life if you want to bring something back. I always want to bring things back to my hand. Just getting more things into your graveyard's great. An amazing kind of mill card, as well as giving the option of then being able to bring something back if you milled something that you wanted to keep. Merrin of Clan Neltoth. I think that she is more likely to get reprinted in this pre-con, but also would they put like a strictly better version of a reanimate in this pre-con? Like, if she is in this pre-con, she's just going to straight up potentially be better than Winter off the bat, right? Because of the fact that she's just going to bring something back with no other downsides to it. That's what makes me think that they're not going to reprint her in here. She's kind of been going up a price a little bit lately as well. And I think this is going to be great in the pre-con, in the deck no matter what. Shieldred, very, very much doubt they reprint Shieldred in this. But again, like, you know, just having additional ways to bring things back, I think is great. And again, she's just going to be a better way to bring things back than Winter. Palantir, same reasons I said before. We get to chuck things into our graveyard, or we get to draw cards and just manipulate the top of our deck. Really good. Chthonian Nightmare, this is probably the other best way to bring things back recently. Just pay X, sacrifice a creature, and then we get to reanimate something. No finality counters tied to it or anything like that. It's repeatable because Chthonian goes back into your hand. Yeah, I think this is what's just growing to be great in the deck, and I doubt, again, it gets reprinted. Anything that was printed in Modern Horizon 3, I doubt gets reprinted into this deck. We've got Nesting Grounds. This one here, I think, is more likely to get reprinted than other ones that I've talked about. But, you know, we've talked about Nesting Grounds on our channel before. Being able to move the finality counters from your permanents over to other people's permanents, it's just boom. Now when your commander dies, instead of it going to the graveyard and you get to do stuff with it from your graveyard because you're playing black, now it's gone, it's exiled. Bye. So let me know what you guys think. Again, if you guys are picking anything up, make sure you check out my link for TCG Player, support the channel and all that stuff. I hope you guys had a great day and goodbye.